Rob Dukes is back in Exodus, but does this album reach the heights of the greats, such as Shovelhead Kill Machine and the Atrocity Exhibition? That's exactly what we're going to find out today. Stick around because this one's going to be a deep dive. Before we get into it, let me give you a little background on my relationship with this band, because context matters when you're reviewing music you actually care about. I first discovered Exodus back in 1989 with Fabulous Disaster. That album hit me like a freight train. It was raw, aggressive, and absolutely relentless. Everything you wanted from thrash metal at the time. It remains one of my all-time favorites to this day. After that, I picked up Impact is Imminent, and honestly, I thought it sucked. I didn't like that album at all. It's just a bad album. I'll talk about that in a different video. But after that, I lost touch with the band for a few years. So fast forward to around 2015, I started going back and checking out the other albums like Tempo the Damned and the Rob Dukes era records, and that kind of like rekindled my interest. And since then, I've been following the band pretty closely. So when Goliath dropped, I was paying attention, and I have opinions. So let's get into them. Goliath is Exodus' 12th studio album, released on March 20th, 2026. It marks the return of vocalist Rob Dukes, who fronted the band roughly from 2005 to 2014. His return alone was enough to generate serious buzz in the thrash metal community, and the album sparked some genuinely divided reactions from fans and critics alike. Some are calling it a triumph, others are calling it one of their weakest efforts in years. As usual, the truth lies somewhere in the middle, but let's break it all down. Let's start with the positives, because there are plenty of them. First and foremost, Rob Dukes. Pretty much every reviewer, whether they loved the album or hated it, agreed on one thing: it's his best vocal performance of his career with Exodus. His delivery here is described as gnarly and biting, but with more melody and nuance than anything he brought to previous records. Gary Holt himself said the vocals on the album sit at the top of the pyramid, and honestly, it's hard to argue with that. Dukes sounds focused, energized, and hungry in a way that really comes through in the performances. The album also received high scores from several major outlets, a 9 out of 10 from Blabbermouth and 4.5 out of 5 from Heavy Music HQ, which tells you a lot of people were genuinely impressed. One of the most talked about strengths of Goliath is its musical diversity. It's arguably the band's most multifaceted record to date, and I think that's both its greatest strength and the source of most of its controversy. The album pushes into territory Exodus has never fully explored before. For example, the title track Goliath is the closest the band has ever come to doom metal. A slow, menacing crawl with violin work from guest Katie Jacoby that gives the song an eerie, ominous feel. Gary Holt has said he wrote that main riff back in 1999 during a very dark period in his life, and only recently felt he could actually finish the song. When you know that backstory, that track takes on a completely different weight. I know a lot of people criticize it for being too slow and too different, but personally, I thought it worked. Just because Exodus is a thrash band doesn't mean they can't slow things down every once in a while. Promise you, this leans into a southern rock and blues groove with one of the catchiest choruses on the record. Critics are saying it's a guaranteed mosh pit opener, and the southern rock influence actually feels natural for the band. It reminded me of Cajun Hell from Fabulous Disaster, so it's not completely out of left field for them. The Changing Me, featuring clean vocals from Peter Takrin of Hypocrisy and Pain. That's another standout. It's mid-tempo, melodic, genuinely different for Exodus. There's this Gojira-style breakdown in the middle. I thought it really worked. And one of my personal favorites on the album. Then there is Summon of the God Unknown. This is an 8-minute epic. It's slow, brooding, and it explodes into this frenzied riff assault. Rob Dukes himself cited it as one of his favorite tracks on the record, and easy to see why. The kind of epic song to remind you why you fell in love with metal in the first place. The album is also notable for being the most collaborative record in Exodus' history. Guitarist Lee Altus contributed 4 of 10 tracks, and lyrics came from Dukes, Holt, Altus, and drummer Tom Hunting. The result feels like a genuine band effort rather than a Gary Holt solo project with backing musicians. And speaking of those musicians, Tom Hunting's drumming is described as astonishing, especially when you consider the health battles he's faced in recent years. Bassist Jack Gibson has a really crushing low end, and Holt and Altus continue to deliver ferocious, razor-sharp riff work, and it keeps the energy high wherever the songs demand it. Let's talk about the criticisms because they're worth addressing honestly. The loudest complaint from multiple reviewers is the production. Previous Exodus records benefited from the work of producer Andy Sneap, and his absence is felt here. The production of Goliath was handled by Mark Lewis, and while it's not bad by any means, some listeners felt it was missing that extra layer of punch and energy. I wouldn't go that far personally, but I think the production could have hit a little harder. The bass is another sticking point for some listeners. A few reviewers felt it was pushed too far back in the mix, which is a shame, given how strong Jack Gibson's playing actually is throughout the record. Song length is also a legitimate criticism. Some of these tracks could have used a bit of trimming. When the band rides a riff a bit longer than it earns, you start to lose momentum, and that's a problem in a couple of spots here. The most divisive track seems to be Violence Works, and the title was called Sophomoric by a couple of reviewers. I forgot who it was. And it has this bouncy, funky intro that threw some people off. But for me personally, I thought it was strange. It kind of like wakes you up, like when you're listening, because it comes from out of nowhere. So it doesn't kill the song, but I think it's very different. And there's also the controversy around the cover art in the music videos. The album features a big purple monster on the cover, which was described, not unfairly, as cheesy. But beyond aesthetics, the band faced serious backlash over allegations that AI-generated technology was used in the artwork and accompanying videos. For a lot of fans, that's a line they don't want to see crossed. But that's a conversation that a lot of people in the music industry are having right now, especially with AI music. But me personally, I don't mind AI art. I mean, if it looks good, but AI music is a whole other story, a whole other video. But also, some people have also been saying it's the weakest Exodus album since Rob Dukes joined the band, and said the songwriting was uninspired and unmemorable. But that's kind of a minority, because I think a lot of people have been saying positive things about it. But with that being said, I'm going to go through the tracks. I'm going to do it like a little quickly because I know I talked about some of the songs before, but I'm just going to kind of like run through them again. So we have the 3101. And that was like one of the singles. And it's about the narco killings in Juarez. So it's a really strong opener, even though like the intro kind of drags a little bit. The second track is Hostis Humani Generis. That means the enemy of mankind. It's a very fast track, very fast, thrashy. Duke sounds really good. My only complaint is that it kind of sounds a little similar in style to the previous song, but that's a minor complaint. Then the Changing in Me, that's one of my favorites. Has Peter Tagrin on the clean vocals, and it has a cool contrast. Promise You This, that's the bluesy, groovy song. And this one I like, maybe some people don't like it. Goliath, it's the doom song, it's slow, it's heavy. I like it again, some people don't like that one. Beyond the Event Horizon, this is back to the thrash. I mean, if you just want the classic Exodus, this is a good song for you. 2 Minutes Hate. Another one, a little groovier, some bluesy swagger. It might lean towards some like shovel-headed Kill Machine sound, but it's a good song. Violence Works, another one people weren't liking. I like it a lot. It's just that funky intro. I just really like it. I think that really like makes the song for me. And Someone of the God Unknown, it's the epic. It's a good track. Could have been trimmed, but I think it's a decent song. And The Dirtiest of the Dozen, that's just classic thrash. And has some awesome Iron Maiden style twin lead guitar work and really good bass solo. That's where the bass really stands out here. So I'm going to wrap this all up now. So here's my honest take. There's a lot of negativity around the album, and a lot of it's from the fact that it's not a straight-up thrash record from start to finish. And we've seen this pattern before with these legacy bands. So, for example, Creator's recent album, the Testaments album from last year. Whenever there's a band from the classic era and they kind of go beyond their formula, the reviews get divisive. It's just natural, just the way metalheads are. I would say Goliath is also drawing comparisons to Force of Habit from 1992, which is widely considered one of Exodus' worst albums. I get that comparison. Both of them take risks, but I think Force of Habit was much worse than this. I think Goliath was better, and I think they handled the change in sound a lot better than Force of Habit did back then. And also, back to Rob Dukes. Again, he sounds good. Songwriting is very collaborative. and there are really great moments on the album. So it does have some rough edges. It's not like one of their best albums of all time, but I think it ranks decently. I mean, I would say it ranks higher than some other albums. I'll probably be doing a ranking video eventually. But I think it's a strong album, and my score is going to be controversial, but I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, check out my review of Persona Non Grata. I did this 5 years ago, back in 2021. Another record I like, and I need to revisit it when I prepare for my ranking. And like, subscribe, helps me with the algorithm. You know what to do. And thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.